Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sandbox 3D, the first live stream, at least the first one that I'm doing. My name is Indy, and hey, what's up, Isaac? Isaac is he's the first person in the chat on YouTube. What's up, Joseph Gonzalez? How's it going, everybody? All right, so today we are going to talk a little bit about the VoxEdit. We're going to talk about the Creator Fund, the Gamemaker Fund, and I have a special guest today, Mr. Alex Florez Kamasazi. And
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and he is here hanging out with me. Let me how's it going, Alex?
Good. Doing well.
I'm going to put up some Twitter and stuff like that. Here's the link right here for Alex's Twitter. Make sure and follow him. So tell me a little bit about you, about what you do and how you got involved in the Sandbox here.
Sure. Well, I started doing voxel art about 2.5 years ago. Started in Magic of Voxel like everybody else. And I ended up seeing an ad on Facebook for the Sandbox and the Creator Fund. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. So I signed up, waited a little while, and I've been working with them for over a year now as an artist, creating voxel art models, animations, and now I'm involved in managing other artists, and it's been a really cool, great experience.
That's awesome.
And, just now, we're starting with the Gamemaker. So I've been working with that for about a month now. And we're starting to release these little trailers and showing people what the gameplay looks like. So it's really exciting stuff.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Maybe I should show this. Let me show this little video real quick, and then we'll continue to talk more about you.
Sounds good.
This is a VoxEdit video right here. This is what we're looking at.
Oops, go there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, you can't see the video. Yeah, you can't see it.
No.
And you can't hear it either. But.
Nope, I'm just going to be quiet.
So Joseph Gonzalez says, love all the work that you make for Sandbox, and you're a great ambassador.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work too, but I enjoy it. It's great making art and making stuff that people enjoy.
Yeah, this isn't the newest video. You know what? You'll have to hook me up with some new videos for next week.
Yeah, well, I'm editing a video right now. That's going to be, which video did you show? Was it Florez?
It just shows like a little bit of VoxEdit, and it's showing a little bit of the Gamemaker. It has that Aztecian tile.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like some of the stuff. The Aztec stuff was, I think, possibly Shinjun, one of our Korean artists. Let me send you a link real quick.
Okay.
For the trailer that I did.
All right. And while we're getting that link, I'm going to post a link to your Voxel shop right here, so you guys can check it out.
Yep, I make all sorts of assets. So that's kind of a project that's taking the back burner a little bit to Sandbox stuff, but it's still something that I do.
But it's still, it's your website. So okay, let's see the link.
Send it to you.
All right. Let's see, this will pop up right here. All right.
So this is from the Gamemaker.
Okay. Excellent. I will full screen this sucker. Let's get some audio. All right. Doesn't want to play full screen. Come on. That's the thing when you do things on the fly. Yes, we will talk about how you can become part of the Creator and Gamemaker Fund here in a little bit, Isaac.
Well, you can only see it in little there, and yeah, if you check out on my Twitter, it's on there. Back from I think 2 days ago, 3 days ago. So this is one of my first projects in the Gamemaker, actually. And the video that I'm working on today, which will go up on my YouTube channel, we'll be talking a little bit about how I made it. So it'll be kind of a first look for a lot of people of what the Gamemaker looks like while you're using it as a developer. And this is all early alpha stuff, so pretty much everything's going to change. But at least people will be able to see.
This is what it does, but everything's going to change. Everything's going to change. And that's the way it is. You guys have to realize that this is early alpha, right? Yeah. So when we go to show you the tool, a lot of that stuff's going to change. I mean, I was looking at some of your older videos, and the program looks different than the way it does now. And that's just what happens. So Rosaic says... my scene is not done yet, but he was so tired yesterday. Did it go okay with the kids getting them to bed yesterday, Alex?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was chatting on people with Discord while I had like kids jumping on me. I've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they're great, but they're also a handful. So it was bedtime, but I was still answering questions on Discord. And
is it the Sandbox Discord?
Yes. So I'm one of the community moderators on there. If you look at my profile on the Sandbox Discord, I have like every single tag.
You have every single role? All right, let's see.
I look like one of those military leaders with like all the badges on their chest. So.
I'm actually going to create an invite so that I can post it into the...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We want lots of people in there. So on the Discord, I'm very involved in support. So people who have questions about VoxEdit, or eventually when the Gamemaker is released publicly, when people have questions about that, I'll be around to answer. I'm on there weird times, like all the time. And we've got other great people there. We've got more ambassadors. We've got more staff on there who help answer questions too. So it's been a really great community to be a part of. A lot of very helpful and friendly people on there. Give feedback on artwork, answer technical questions. And yeah, it's
you know, the Sandbox Pixel, which is the company that is making Sandbox, the studio, they've always been like that. Always been like super community. You know, the other game Sandbox, what is it? The Sandbox. I only played it for a year and a half straight. The Sandbox, the mobile game, Sandbox Evolution. The Sandbox Evolution is the community is super whatever. What is your, let me see here. I'm going to post your, if you don't mind me posting your Discord.
No, absolutely. You can post all the stuff.
User info.
On all my YouTube videos, I have very long descriptions with links to everything. So if you watch any of my videos on YouTube, in the description, there's always a link invite for Discord, links to all like the different Sandbox Twitter and all that stuff.
And also, if you guys want to hit me up, I just put my Discord in there. It's indie #0001. I'm not so involved as Alex is in the Sandbox, but I'm there. Okay, so let's see. So you have a YouTube channel, which I'm going to post a link to, so everyone can check out the YouTube channel, and it's all voxel stuff. You're a voxel guy.
100% voxel so far.
And there's also tutorials specifically for VoxEdit, and I'll post that playlist right there. So, and I've been watching those too. I mean, that's how I learned a lot about stuff. I am actually I'm a graduate from Animation Mentor, if anybody of you know that, and I taught classes about how to use Maya, which is another program for modeling and rigging. It's a little bit different than VoxEdit, but I mean it's the same features, but then it's kind of like it has a bajillion other things too. Yeah. So as an animator and rigger, you only use like 2% of what Maya can do. So yeah, there's tons and tons, and you release videos how often?
I've been trying to release more frequently now. So there was kind of a lull at the end of last year because I had basically talked about everything there was to talk about in VoxEdit. So I had already shown off all the features, and we were waiting for the update to drop. So the update came out last month. Was it last month? I think it was last month. And I did a video about that update, what the new features are. And I'm going to be releasing some more videos over the next couple months, going through the new inverse kinematics feature, some of the more advanced stuff that's come in the new update. And I'm also going to be releasing more videos about what I'm doing in the Gamemaker. So what I'm hoping to release tonight, after we're done talking, I'm going to finish editing this video, is going to be going through the process working in the Gamemaker to make this Fun Gus game. And it's not really
Fun
tutorial
Gus
for that. But yeah, Fun Gus Among Us.
Fun Gus Among Us?
Yeah, I named the mushroom Gus, and he's a fun guy. So, yeah, I'm a dad. I'm allowed to do these puns. So,
That's funny.
That video is going to just kind of be like a tour, so people can experience it. It's not going to be a tutorial because so much probably will be changing before public release that it's not going to be very useful for me to do a tutorial at this point.
Right.
But in the coming months, we're hoping for a public release on the Gamemaker later this year, possibly around the summer. Will be a open access alpha, and I'll be able to start doing tutorials then when people can get their hands on it and actually participate.
Yeah, because I seen some of the stuff in Gamemaker, and like you were doing the video that we just watched was just destroying everything basically, right? Yeah, and that was just like a little test.
I just turned on the physics for all the buildings. They're basically like beach balls. You just kick them around. That there's not because this is early alpha. There's still a lot of features that aren't implemented yet. So as time goes on, if people are interested in this being a more game experience instead of just like a sandbox, if you will, I can add in point scoring, maybe destruction of the buildings, put a timer on it so you can do like a
I want to see all the buildings explode. We talked about that already. Just explode.
Yeah.
I mean, the parts bleed all over. Yeah. These
buildings are built in chunks. So when we're working in VoxEdit making these buildings, each building is a 4 by 4 by 4 meter chunk or 128 voxels on each side. And these buildings are a lot bigger than that. So we make these in these block chunks. We rig them together in the animator. There's no animation on the buildings, but that's how you do the rig. And I don't know if it'll be a feature, but it'd be cool if we could do like a ragdoll on or just break apart the nodes and have the pieces go flying. There's all sorts of possibilities here. We're so early in the Gamemaker aspect of it. There's going to be a lot of new features, a lot of stuff that isn't in there yet, and a lot of ideas that people haven't thought of yet. So there's going to be stuff
lots of ideas people haven't thought of. Isaac Morrow, YouTube, will this be a video after the stream is done? Yes, these live streams, which we're going to be doing every Sunday at this time, there will be videos. It's actually on Twitch, on YouTube, and on Facebook right now. So I'll be putting the links in the description of the video after it's done. Anybody else have any questions for Alex while we're sitting here before we move forward and talk about the Creator Fund and the Gamemaker Fund?
If you spent any time on Discord, I love answering questions.
Loves to answer questions.
That's why I'm on there all day.
Okay, so the Creator Fund. So you got selected in the Creator Fund. I'm going to post a link to that and pull this up on the screen. You got selected for the Creator Fund.
Yep.
From the very, very beginning, right?
Yeah, I wasn't. There were other artists there before me. I was not the first person in the door, if you will. I think it was going on for a few months before I joined, but I've definitely been there a while. I signed up over a year and a half ago. And
after you signed up, how long did it take before you got accepted?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it was at least a month or two. Because they have to take time to look at the applications, and we still, as I'm in management now, I see the applications we get in. We still get multiple applications every single day, and we have to take time to review the artwork and then talk to the artist, and there's just a whole process to it. It's like a job interview because you're working as a freelancer for the Sandbox, and you get paid to do this artwork. So
do people send in like demo reels, or do they send in just screenshots of their artwork or renderings of their artwork?
Yeah, well, we ask for a portfolio. We have on the form to sign up, I think it's 3 image slots. You can upload 3 images, and you can also post a link to your portfolio. So whether you have a PDF in Dropbox for us to download, or you have a website, I put a link to my website, and then I picked 3 of images that I thought best represented my work. And that's how I applied, and it's just like anybody else. And it's
and a little tip for doing that: only send in your very best stuff, because when someone is looking like at a demo reel or artwork, you are only as good as your worst animation or your worst artwork, right? Your other artwork is good, but you'll get judged by the thing that is not the best. So that's just a good little tip. Okay, so it's a $2 million creator fund. How many people are in the creator fund right now? How many creators, do you know?
I don't have an exact head count right now. It's somewhere around 50.
Holy moly.
Less than that. I think we're maybe about 30 right now. So we kind of went on a break at the end of last year because we were ramping up for the new version of VoxEdit, and we have these new things in VoxEdit for animation templates. And we had been doing a lot of artwork where we didn't have as much direction, I guess. We people were doing a lot of different things, and we wanted to kind of focus on these animations that would everybody would be able to very quickly make off these templates. So we have like a dog template, we have a horse template, and we want our modelers who don't necessarily have a lot of animation experience, because VoxEdit is really the first voxel program for modeling that has rigged animation attached to it as one whole piece. So a lot of people who've been working in Magica Voxel or Cubicle or Goxel or these other programs don't necessarily have the experience in Blender or Unity to do rigging and animation. So we kind of wanted to make these templates so people can just grab them and go. And, in the amount of time it takes them to make a model, they also have all the animations as presets. So we paused everything and had some of our animation team working on making these templates, and they look pretty good, I think. We've got a bunch of different, like, running, walking, idle, jumping, eating, dying, getting hit, attacking, different animations for the different figures. So that adds a lot of possibilities for people. And I think I went off a tangent. I don't remember the original.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We were just talking about the creator fund. So Rosek says his Steam game with 2 million downloads would be the best piece. You know what? Can you link me that? I would like to check it out. And he also said, I noticed that VoxEdit is not friendly to drawing devices. Well, remember, it's also an early alpha. So,
So I can explain a little bit about what's going on with that. It is a very complicated process going from a Wacom device to a 3D graphics program. And I know things like Blender or Maya or other, ZBrush and stuff like that have more experience in this field. But I imagine it was probably pretty rough for Blender when it first started getting those device inputs. The thing is that something like VoxEdit, it's using mouse inputs that are locally based in their location, and when you use something like a tablet, it's using an absolute value of your screen usually. So you can tap the corners of your tablet and the mouse will jump to those positions. So that's a little bit confusing for a program like VoxEdit, and we hope that as we get more feedback from people, and I'm part of that process of receiving feedback from both in when I'm helping people in the support channel on Discord, and also there is a dedicated feedback channel where people can say, hey, I would like to see this feature, or
that's
why is it like this?
3 full-time jobs that you're doing right now. Oh, and so on a tangent, we used to argue about the pronunciation of that, right? I used to say it was Wacom, and other people would say. So we were at a convention and their booth was there, and I'm like, all right, we want to settle this bet. How do you say it? And you know how it said? Whack-em.
I have no idea.
Whack-em.
What?
Yep,
No.
it's pronounced whack-em. I swear, it's pronounced whack-em. That is how they pronounce it. I would have never, ever, nobody I ever thought I knew guessed that that's how it was pronounced. It's
I
whack-em.
don't believe that person. That person doesn't know what they're talking about.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's whack-em.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's weird. Okay, so the Gamemaker Fund. Let's talk about the Gamemaker Fund. I'm going to post a little link into that. Oh, and I was just reading before we get off of that, there's a program is limited to 1,000 artists.
First we haven't hit that limit yet.
Well, you just said there was like 50.
Well, so we've had more than that total. Not all of them have stuck around either, because they've have other things that come up in their lives, or
and because some people are just, it's like grant per asset, right?
Yeah, so it's we do it's not like a hourly job or anything like that. Like we have assignments and there's prices set to them, and you're free to take them, you're free to not take them. If you decide like not to take a whole bunch of artwork, then maybe you don't get any more artwork, and that's just kind of the way it goes sometimes. So um we're actually having a big meeting with the staff tomorrow because we're trying to make sure that we give the best experience to our artists. So we've got everybody gets divided up into groups, little work groups, and then I'm kind of like the manager for the group leaders. So all of us group leaders are getting together, and we're going to talk about what the artist's feedback is, what their experience is like, because we want this to be a healthy working experience for everybody. We don't want 2 years down the line people are talking about I've heard this with other game studios, after something comes out, people are talking about feeling like they were taken advantage of in a game studio, and we don't want that. We want artists to have the best experience possible. So we're trying to get all the heads together and make sure that everybody's happy and feels like this is a fair thing. So
right, and it's very clear, like the guidelines, like like how many assets you can submit, unlimited. If you lose a copyright for any assets, and what are the licensing rights, it's really clear right here what that kind of stuff is. So know up front,
Yeah. And I think this program is great because a lot of it, we want a lot of the power to remain with the artists. So with the exclusion, I did a bunch of work with the Sandbox last year that was NDA. Actually, some of the stuff you see in this Fungus Among Us video was some stuff that I wasn't able to show at first. Some of these buildings and stuff was work that's going to be exclusive to the Sandbox, but that was like a contract that I agreed to. For the most part, most of what the artists are working on, they retain ownership of their artwork, because when people will be able to access this stuff in the Gamemaker, it's actually going to be published on the marketplace, and the artists receive the profits from what's being sold on the marketplace. So not only are the artists getting paid to make this artwork, but then it goes on their account with credit to their name, and they get paid when people buy it on the marketplace. So this really is really empowering to artists, and I think it's a great program and a way of doing it where people get credit for their work. They get paid for their work a lot better than they might if they just did like a one-time thing and then it's out of their hands forever.
All right, that's awesome. All right, let's talk about the game fund. Gamemaker fund.
Was that how the name said?
That's how I'm saying it. Rosaic.
Yeah, I think I've bumped into him on the Discord a few times. So when you've got a game that's got 2 million downloads on Steam, that's when you want to apply to the game fund over the creators fund, because the creator fund is just for artists, pretty much people who enjoy making voxel art or pixel art or 3D art. And if you do pixel art or 3D art, we advise that you still submit voxel art in your portfolio, because it'll show that you can work in that style.
I just want to see the game. That's a lot of downloads on Steam.
Yeah. But if you've made a game and it's successful, definitely apply for the Gamemaker fund, because that's a grant program for you pitch a game, and if they like your pitch, and you can pitch as many games as you want. You don't have to pitch just one. So if you've got an idea for a racing game or a platformer game or an RPG or whatever, pitch that game, and if your pitch gets accepted, you start working on it with the staff, and you get a grant to develop your game.
Oh yeah, he says he's done that, but has never released. Well, he did that as soon as it was released, but he hasn't heard anything back yet.
Okay, well, I can try looking into that later. I think we talked about it a little bit before, but I can try to see what the status on that stuff is for him. These programs also are getting people signing up every day, so there's a lot of stuff to go through. Pixel is a pretty small team as far as the staff goes. I think we've got more freelance artists than staff, almost. So there is a lot of stuff to go through. And because the Gamemaker is so new, there's going to be pitches that we can't start on yet, because there will be ideas that have too advanced features. So if somebody wants to do like an MMO or something like that, it's a cool idea and something that we're interested in working with, but it might not be something that we can start on until maybe next year or something. So it might take a little bit to get feedback, but always you can message me on Discord.
Yeah, because right now, like the NPCs have basic functions, right? They can animate them and
you can
move around.
Them.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're kind of like, I don't know if you've seen RPG Maker, like people just kind of wander around and you can talk to them. That's about the extent that it works at right now. Again, this is the first time that we're showing the Gamemaker, so this is very early days. I don't know if anybody remembers what Minecraft looked like back in before alpha. It was very different from what it is now. So,
right.
Yeah.
So the Gamemakers, $2 million Gamemaker fund. They're trying to find 100 games. The program is limited to the first 100 pitches. The grant payments are awarded on a per game basis, ranging from $5,000 to $30,000 per games. And the overall goal is to fund, and the fund is to generate 100 games. In addition to the grant,
100 accepted pitches. It might not say it there, but yeah, it's not like 100 people pitch a game and then we're cutting it off. It's 100 accepted pitches. So,
right,
it'd be kind of silly the other way around. Just in case anybody wasn't sure.
In addition to the grant, you'll also be able to monetize your game to players when the Sandbox launches.
Yeah, so we have a lot of ideas for monetization in the games for how people want to do it, because again, just like when we're making assets in the creators fund and the ownership stays with the creator, the game idea and the game content stays with the game, the rights to it stay with that creator. So if you want to make a game, RPG like Final Fantasy, and it is your story, your idea, you either make your own artwork or you buy artwork for it and you put it all together, that is a game that you could sell, and you can sell it on, in the Sandbox. So that's I don't know because we haven't kind of hammered down all the details of how exactly the adjacent lands are going to work. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet, but it is something where you could have a premium game, or you could maybe do something like the Telltale series. Is it Telltale? You did the Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Where you get like your base game, and then you can have unlockable chapters. You could buy the next chapter. You could do, a store inside your game. You could sell like avatar clothing. I played this game and all I got was this stupid T-shirt kind of stuff. Right.
And people, a lot of people love that stuff. Just, I get hats. Let's get this other hat. It's an exclusive hat. Yeah. Definitely. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the currency. Let's talk about Sand. Sand is a utility token used throughout the Sandbox ecosystem as the basis of transactions and interactions. It's an ERC20 utility token built in Ethereum blockchain. There's a finite supply of, what is that, 3 bajillion Sand. What is that number? It's a big number.
Like 3 billion to me. 3 billion. Yeah, 3 billion.
3 billion, yeah. Bajillion.
Bajillion.
So Sand is used to buy land and assets, and that will also be the currency on how people can make money in the games.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's Ethereum based. Now I'm not a crypto nerd. I know very little about this, so I'm going to try to stay away from too technical definitions for anything. But it is not connected to the marketplace yet. They're still working on that. So all the 2 pre-sales that we've done so far for land and for assets have been done with Ethereum. So it's going to be Sand and is going to be convertible to Ethereum. And yeah.
So how are people buying land right now then?
Well, you can't right now because it's sold out unless you go to OpenSea or another third-party marketplace where you can trade with people who already have land in their wallets. So we are doing these pre-sales. We've done 2 out of the 5 that are going to happen. And, I think that there's not dates announced for the next pre-sales, but that if you just follow the Sandbox Twitter, or you can follow them on Medium, they always post in advance of when the sales are going to happen. And along with the land pre-sale, which I think it lasts 15 days, I think is what the last one was. The land usually sells out well before that. So the first pre-sale, I think, only lasted a few hours, and all the land was gone. The second one went on for some more days.
So what happens after there's 5 rounds and then all the land is sold?
Well, it's not going to be all the land. So there's a lot more land than, I don't know if you can zoom out on that map. I don't know how far you can zoom out, if you can see the whole thing. If you hit the little minus in the bottom right corner. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I believe that's the full land in that square, like all of the lands. I'm not positive on that, but not all of it is going to be sold in the pre-sales. So after the last pre-sale, at some point the whole thing will open up and people can buy from wherever. But the pre-sale will give people earlier access to the Gamemaker. So that was actually confirmed on Twitter, I think yesterday. Sebastian, who's the COO of Pixel, confirmed that people who already own land will get first access to the Gamemaker after the people in staff and the game dev fund, Gamemaker fund, sorry.
So how much? So land is just one little green square, right?
Yes. So the games that I've shown, so that the Fungus game is a single land. That's 96 by 96 meter blocks, and you can see that you can actually do a good bit with that amount of land.
And how much were in the pre-sale? How much were those cost? Oh, it looks like it cost $35.
Yep. So each
basically
pre-sale has a discount on it. So the first pre-sale had the heaviest discount, and the discount goes down with each pre-sale. So
geez, some people were buying like $5,000 worth of land.
Oh, some people have very large sections of land. Yeah, there's a few. They get called whales in the crypto and investing community, and they buy. So
yeah,
yeah. I've got 2 3x3 plots. I bought one in the first sale, and then I was awarded one as part of the ambassadors program, which just started. So. The ambassadors program is kind of people who will either help a lot on the Discord, or they're sharing stuff on social media. Maybe they're an influencer or something like that. But the people who get really involved in the community, there's an application. I don't have a link for that right now, but if you hang out on the Discord, you'll be able to find it.
Yeah, hang out in the Discord. Also, here's the link for to register for the next for round 3 for the pre-sale. I just posted that. Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
At some point that'll get announced, and it'll.
So what happens when all the land is gone? Will there be more land?
I don't think so. That there's going to be a scarcity to it, so land is going to increase in buying it early. Is if you just want to be involved in investing, you can buy now, and you can probably resell it later at a higher price. I mean, people right now are already reselling land at a higher price than what the pre-sale was. So it's just the pre-sale was less than a month ago, and people are already reselling. So that is a cool way for people to get involved in investing. It's a fairly simple way to get started.
And it's pretty neat because you can like click on, like I clicked on this square right here, and it has like the link to Obite owns this, so you can click on it, obite.org, and they're a little cryptocurrency platform. There's a bunch of different. You can go into detail. You can see the assets that those people own, right?
Yeah, that's that will probably be a more advanced feature later on, because right now you can see the land blocks. They're all the same right now for all those lands, but there's a plan for having more kinds of biomes going on. So that hasn't been a part of it yet, but that's something we're looking forward to in the future. We'll make land ownership a little more interesting.
The Mind Fund. That is a big piece of land.
It is a very large one. Yeah, a lot of those are reserved for the Sandbox to do their own things in.
Right.
And yeah, on the right side, you can actually see mine down under where the one you clicked before. It's got a little fox icon.
Little fox icon. Right.
Yeah, there I am.
Oh, right here? There we go.
Yeah, that's me.
Fox land.
Yeah, I don't know what to call it yet, so that's what it is for now.
It was ruled by the Voxel foxes. And look at, you can see all of your assets.
Yeah.
Oops, that didn't work correctly. Billboard man.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks pretty funny when he's running. Billboards flapping in the wind. So, I grabbed that right before the sale ended. That one's gonna. So I did another another thing that's released, which I didn't make the trailer video for it. It should be up on the Sandbox YouTube soon, I think. Called Cataclysm City. I did a whole bunch of tweets of screenshots for that.
Yesterday. Neat.
And so he's going to be in Cataclysm City as eventually, as I told everybody.
Cataclysm City. Okay, let's see. I'm going to post this other link right here. This is the main page, sandbox.game.
Yep.
Your land is far away from us. Coin Dreams. Oh, Coin Dreams. Yeah. What I'm curious is how you'll be able to travel between lands.
Yeah. So we did an Ask Me Anything on the Discord. I think it was right before the last pre-sale started, and that was a big question that people had, and we haven't had a super detailed answer yet. The staff is working on different ideas of the possibility of roads connecting the different lands, which I think is how there's another crypto game that does something like that with roads connecting, and I don't remember what it's called, but Crypto Lands, something like that. So there's a possibility of that. We're talking about other ideas for teleportation to different places, so there is going to be some sort of mechanic for jumping to faraway places.
Flying on dragons.
It's not set. Yeah, that would be cool. I would do that. It is not set in stone yet exactly which method it's going to be, whether it's some sort of fast travel or roads going between the lands or something. We're not settled on that yet, but there will be a mechanic in there.
That'll be awesome. That'll be awesome. Yeah. All right.
We definitely want people to be able to get to the outer reaches.
Ooh, public transportation. See, look at all these ideas. Public transportation. That'd be cool. Like a little Hogwarts train or something,
Yeah, that the Hogwarts Express.
Hogwarts. Yeah, I don't know. How about multiplayer gaming? Xavier Brito from YouTube asks.
Yeah, it is not in the Gamemaker yet, but we definitely want that. I don't think there would be much use for an avatar system that we're starting to implement if there wasn't going to be multiplayer. So there was a page on the Sandbox website before, many months ago, where I talked about the different kinds of games that we want. And we are looking forward to having, social RPG, MMO kind of stuff. Definitely interested in having Battle Royale, and even just places where people can hang out and chat. So multiplayer is something that we're very interested in, and we definitely want. It's just we're trying to hammer down the single player and the creator experience first, and work our way up.
Maybe Uber wants in on Sandbox as well. That's funny. All right, so here's a question. What about
Uber?
So I'm a live streamer on Twitch, right? But my channel is mature, so I play mature games. What about is everything going to be kid friendly, or is there going to be some kind of censorship, or is there going to be areas that are age locked for mature audiences or mature gamers? Or
that's a good question. So what I was told a while ago was that we are aiming at a younger audience, in the preteen and teen demographic for, similar to Minecraft and Roblox and that kind of stuff. Now, because people can make their own stuff, that poses kind of a conundrum of what kind of stuff is going to be allowed, how is stuff going to be censored, is it going to be censored, what kind of world is this going to look like? And so while we're aiming at that younger audience, me as an adult, playing mature games or whatever, I'm interested in what other kind of experiences might be out there too. So we haven't talked about any sort of age lock yet, at least not me with the staff, but that is a possibility that we can look into. And we are interested in having community moderation, so like a self-policing community. That's been talked about mostly in the marketplace, as far as making sure that people aren't stealing other people's IPs. So obviously we can't be selling Mickey Mouse figures on the marketplace, and we definitely don't want people taking other people's ideas. Some artist is maybe like a cartoonist is putting his figures in the game, and we don't want somebody going like, oh, I can do that too, and trying to take his ideas. So we do want a self-policing community. We've talked about a bounty system where you can report something for a small sand fee, and if the community judges on that and goes, hey, you're right, this is a problem, you get your sand fee back with a reward that's maybe like
that's a good idea.
Well, when
that way people are not just reporting stupid stuff.
Right. Yeah. So there's like a penalty for reporting something falsely, because you have to pay to report. But if you report accurately, you get rewarded. So when people publish to the marketplace, they pay a sand fee to do the publishing. It's kind of like when you want to sell your stuff on Etsy,
right?
You pay a listing fee. So if something is removed from the marketplace, the payment of sand to publish that asset has been talked about as being the reward for accurately reporting something. So that way, there's the people who are trying to steal something, who are trying to profit off of other people's ideas, they get a penalty because they lose out on their sand fee, and then the person who is policing and reporting correctly gets rewarded for helping the community stay, safe, if you will. Now, something like that can be implemented also with the lands. So that's something that we're not quite fully formed on yet either, but that's
I think this is going to be awesome. I mean, I loved the mobile Sandbox game, the Sandbox Evolution. I built so many levels and so many different things, and the funnest part for me was playing other people's levels, right? Yeah. And I think this is going to be so cool. So I'm looking in the marketplace right now, and there's already a bunch of cool stuff. There's 1,002 assets for sale right now.
Yep. Well, not quite for sale. They're published.
Published. Okay.
Yeah. Good. So assets only go on for sale during the pre-sale events, and they're curated. So we take some of the top stuff from the marketplace and put that up for sale. Once this is all connected to the Sand blockchain and everything's ready to go, all this stuff will be for sale. And so, yeah, when the store opens, there's going to be over 1,000 different things going on there.
Oh, it's so cool. You can like preview all of the animations and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, you can even full screen that if you want. You can see it in nice high detail.
Mm-hmm. Move the camera around.
We work with Sketchfab to get that player in there. So we use the Sketchfab API. Sketchfab's a great 3D asset store and publishing platform. So we were able to use their tech to get that in there.
And that's pretty. I mean, I don't know if high res is the word, but I mean that's pretty. Because I mean, look at how many voxels it is. That's a lot.
So that's something that's come up more recently. So a lot of the stuff that's on the store might have to change from what it is right now.
Because that is super detailed.
Our standard a little bit. Yeah. So this guy would probably be like tall in the game.
Yeah.
This is something that you'll notice when you go through my tutorials on VoxEdit, is that the animator used to have a scaling feature, which has now been removed. Because as the developers were making the Gamemaker, they realized scaling was causing issues with graphics. So we moved from having some high detail objects. We were originally going to go with really high detailed avatars. We've decided to go where everything is using a 32 voxel per meter scale across the board. So unfortunately, that meant the scaling tool had to be removed from VoxEdit. But we think people will get a more cohesive visual experience with this. And we can have a more solid kind of brand look to everything. So.
Yeah, so that like you're not putting a model in, you want it to be X amount of size, and so that way there won't be things that are, because this I guess you would say is low resolution compared to that zombie.
This is the correct Sandbox resolution. So this is using the 32 voxel per meter size. I think it used to actually say size dimensions on there. I think that may have gotten removed. Either that, or it's just because I'm a mod, I have access to extra things. So
extra things, yeah.
That's something that other people can't see.
And he's fast.
Oh yeah, he's a coming.
Oh wow, this is going to be amazing, and we're going to keep talking more and more about this. We're going to have more guests every week. I will be bringing Alex back to talk about new things if he wants to come back. I know he wants to come back because he loves to talk as much as I do. I do. Let's see. I have 2 VoxEdits open. Let me just close one of them. There we go. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. This is going to be like a basic, and I know you guys already know this. This is VoxEdit right here. I know a lot of you already know this stuff. So when you get the version, you can download it at that link I just put up there, voxedit.io, and it changes. Like if you look at this version and look at Alex's first video, it definitely looks different.
Oh yeah. Lots of changes.
Yeah, so the front page is guidelines. It's got the marketplace. It's got it takes you to a link for the Gamemaker here. If you just click on that stuff, there's a ton of information that you can learn and look at. A bunch of different cool things that you can create. Even if you're not putting stuff in the marketplace, you can still use this to model and animate things, right? So what do we got? We have news, modeler, animator, and block. So modeler and animator is pretty self-explanatory. What is block exactly?
So block is how we do those terrain blocks in the Gamemaker. So when you're in the Gamemaker and you see, the land that you're walking on, that's not a model like you would make in the modeler. It's not a full voxel block. The blocks are actually just a simple 6-sided mesh cube, and it's got 32 by 32 pixel textures all around it. So that helps us to optimize things better. And in that aspect is very similar to Minecraft. The way you construct your terrain. So the block editor.
Okay, so I'm doing
some of the same tools as the modeler, but it's much more simplified, and you can see. I think do you have the selection tool going there?
Yeah, I have the pin tool.
Oh, okay. Oh, you were drawing at the same purple color.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything. So as you select something different from the swatch panel down at the bottom there.
Oh, okay. This one I'm doing this right here just as the color. So let's see.
Yeah, you're just changing the swatch. So yeah, you pick a different one, and then as you draw, when you release, you'll be able to see on the right side. You can see it updates the faces.
Right.
So you can easily see what each side is.
And these will be like the blocks that you're walking on, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Well, I don't want to get too into detail of this. Let's go back home. Do I want to save it? No. Well, let's go ahead and just look at the modeler right here. I'm going to create a new asset. There's tutorials in here that learn about the modeler and learn about the rigger. And where do these go? These tutorials.
Those don't actually go to me.
They don't go to you? Dang it!
The Sandbox does enough to promote my channel already. So those just go to like a quick. This is like a cheat sheet. Different stuff that's in there. So it tells you what each tool is. I think it mentions a couple shortcuts. Yeah.
And with anything, it's like as far as a modeling program, there's not really that much to it, but it's still overwhelming. So like the more and more, and I've only used a short bit, so I'm going to be learning big time over the next coming months doing this, right? So here's the tutorial for modeling. There's a tutorial for rigging. Now, if you want Alex's stuff, I'm going to post a link up here again in the chat. That's the playlist that Alex is continually. How often do you release videos again?
It's as quickly as I can when there's a new feature.
Okay.
So I was caught up to the old version. I had shown everything there was for the features, and I try to my tutorials. I try to not just tell you like what a feature is. I try to make it like a lesson. So like we work on for a large part of those tutorials. Was working on this little, dinosaur in an egg kind of character, and working through that and showing each new feature as we advance through making this one thing. I'm probably gonna have to figure out something different for the new one because for inverse kinematics I'll need a much more complicated figure. But yeah, you can go to. I actually made shortcut URLs for that. So if you go to tinyurl.com/VoxEdit, it will take you directly to that playlist. And then you can always, if you just subscribe to my channel, you'll get to see whenever they come out.
You swooped up that tiny URL, didn't you?
Well, I guess, VoxEdit wasn't like a common name before, so I got lucky.
Right. Okay, so let's just do a quick run through of the modeler. One thing that you talk about in your videos is making a Dropbox folder for all of your stuff.
Oh yeah.
Right, and putting everything in it.
Doesn't have to be Dropbox. Could be Google Drive. Could be iCloud. Could be whatever other Backblaze or whatever backup system you want to use. I personally like Dropbox. Other people hate Dropbox, so
I'm a Dropbox user. I pay for the big Dropbox.
Yeah, me too.
I've shared my link to the Max.
I'm gonna fill it up.
Yeah, I've shared my link to the Max to get as much as I can. I'm not doing that right there. So when you get a new version, you just replace the VoxEdit version with the new version in Dropbox, but still open the same files.
Oh, you mean for the program?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I save all my old versions just in case something happens, and that's just because I'm a nerd. Because so something like with the scale getting removed, the scale feature getting removed, some people noticed that if they had an older model that had the scaling in it, it kind of like messed up that node, and they would have to like redo that one part of their model. Whereas I have the old version of the program, so I can open it in that and remove the scaling and not have to change anything else. So
right.
It's just a habit that I have of one.
And it's good for, especially since this is early alpha, early alpha.
Yeah, and I save it to Dropbox just so that way any like settings files or anything going on like that are always backed up. And it's even more important for the content that I'm making more than the software itself. So the software backup's just because I want it.
Yeah, right. And it's also good.
File backup is because I need it. If the program crashes or if I make a mistake and I want to grab an older version, Dropbox has that version history for me to recover.
Right. And it's also good, like me, I also work with, I at home, I have 4 monitors, right? So all of these things I would pop out and put on my other monitors. Mm-hmm. But I also work from my laptop. So if you just have everything on your Dropbox, you can pull up all the same stuff and work from anywhere. All right, let's do a quick review here. The first thing is you can move around. You can rotate by using the right mouse button, right? Mm-hmm. And that rotates everything. At the bottom left, or like right under my beard here, is the tooltips. Alt and left click is that actually
that changed. So this has been reported and will be fixed in the next update. The tooltip for mouse controls is the old tooltip. So that was forgotten to get updated.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's right click to rotate. It is middle click or clicking on your scroll wheel to pan, and scroll to zoom.
I always end up scrolling a little bit when I'm panning. And it's just because of it's my condition. And so roll and then pan and then zoom. Those are the 3. It's like any other modeling kind of program. I mean, Maya's a little bit different. At the top left, we have return to the welcome screen, which will ask you, hey, do you want to save this stuff? Let's hit, and here's the save button. Coming down the left side, select mode. We don't have anything to select right now. Create mode. So I'm going to just do that. I'm going to drop some blocks in here. And when you can't like drop anything in the middle, you have to start from from an edge, right? So
Yeah, you got to start from the bottom to get to the top. So,
but you can actually start from the other edge. You know what I mean?
you can start on the
You can
side.
start from any edges. So right now I'm just placing one block at a time.
Now, if you want to get that stuff in the middle, there's a couple different things you can do. You can either build up from what you made, or in the top right corner, there's little red, green, and blue
Right here.
arrows in the corner, all the way over.
Oh, okay. And then you can move stuff.
Yeah, those are the scroll controls, and it'll loop to the other side, and that way you can build something on the ground, lift it up, put legs under it, whatever you got to do. I guess you can draw on the top, but it's not something that I've ever really done before.
Can you? Huh. All right, so I'm just drawing.
If you rotate the camera to see the ceiling, if you will, you can actually just draw on the top right there. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay, so this is just
that way. So
this is just putting one. I tend to like doing pixel art. I draw it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's fun. The palette, you can click on the different palettes, and that will give you different colored blocks over here on the right. And there's a whole thing for palettes you can load. You can create your own palettes. Yeah, see here, save, load, new palette. It's good to create a palette and then work within that instead of having like all of the colors on here, because that's just way too much. So it's really good to go through your palette, figure out, exactly what you want to do. So here
now, if you're familiar with Magica Voxel, you can export your palettes from Magica Voxel and import them into VoxEdit. So
that really helps.
Like working with.
Yeah, that really helps with consistency. Mm-hmm. Because if you have a bunch of different assets in a game or something, and they're all close colors, but their shade or hue is a little bit off, it doesn't look right. So I'm using the palette button right here, the paint mode. It looks like a palette, so I'm painting all the blocks the different color that I've chosen over here. Then we have the toolbar line, which is basically. It's not. Oh wait, because I'm painting here. I have to be in create mode. Oh, yeah. Oh wait, let's just go ahead and do the eraser. So I can also erase. I'm erasing individual blocks right now.
Yeah. Now you could erase in a line if you wanted to. So if you clicked and dragged across, say, that left side,
just like that, right. And yeah.
Yep.
So I can also erase one at a time, but that I can erase multiple things by just doing this part of the tool, using the pen tool. Okay, then
so that used to be right click. So if somebody's already been using, that did change.
Right click was delete.
Sorry, go ahead.
Right click was delete, but it's not now.
Yeah, it was kind of a convenient shortcut key, but it also, for me personally, made me mess up with stuff a lot, because I would go to rotate the camera, and if my timing was off with the alt just that hair of a second, then I ended up erasing stuff instead of rotating the camera, which is kind of a
pain.
That got separate.
It's kind of a pain.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. And then let's go ahead and go back to the create. Create, and then I can use the toolbar line. The toolbar line is cool. You can draw in a straight line, but when you move, it actually, it figures out what would be the best course of action to take, right? With how many lines.
Yeah, you can do that in 3D too. So you can start like on the bottom and then go up to the sides, and it will project it like that.
So you can start like here and then go over to the edge, just like that, and draw lines up.
Yep, or to any object wherever you want.
Oh, that's pretty groovy. I like it. Boop. You have to really... You have to be really good with your aim. Yeah. Especially in 3D space. In 3D space, yeah. Control Z. We'll get rid of that one. It was terrible. Also, okay, let's see. This is the box tool, and this affects a box of voxels. So, using the create, I can draw basically a one voxel shape on whatever surface, right?
Well, it'll go, so it goes diagonally from one. So if you, there you
If I draw up like this, it can do it against the wall, right?
Yeah. Or any voxel object. So you could connect it up to your platform. Yeah.
And you can see how it just kind of snaps to it there.
Mm-hmm.
Man, people are going to pay a lot of sand for this. And so that also works. Yeah, they're going to pay a lot of sand. So that also works. Like if I want to change the palette, I can use the paint tool.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right.
All the tools work with all the different modes. So even you can paint a selection using the box tool if you want it.
Right. Okay. Now let's go back to the create mode here. Then we have face tool. Face tool is cool. Like if you draw your shape on the ground and then you can just stack it up high, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it'll just keep going. So it does one layer at a time. So you have to keep clicking to make it keep going.
I'm just gonna experiment and see what happens if I go right through this.
So now it will, yep.
And it only does of the same color, right?
Yeah, so if you, when you had your red next to the purple, it only does the one that you click on. So in a way, it's kind of like those Play-Doh hair extruders from the 90s.
And what I can do is I can use the picker, right? And then I can just pick a color.
Yep.
And then I can go and do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Alt key got moved to be the shortcut for the color picker. So now if you tap Alt, you'll see the color picker gets highlighted.
Okay.
And then you click, and it goes back to your tool. So that's a nice shortcut.
A nice little shortcut there.
Yeah. That's good for when you're trying to color a whole bunch of things real quickly, and you already kind of have your colors in the scene. You just keep on picking the next color and doing your details.
It's fun to just like create crazy stuff. Okay. Then the next one.
As seen on TV version.
As seen on TV. The flood tool. Now the flood tool. Tell us about that.
Mm-hmm. So.
Bam! I just flooded everything.
Yeah. That one's pretty aggressive.
You think?
Yeah. With create mode, it's pretty aggressive. But if you use it with paint or select or erase, it's going to go on whatever color you click on.
Okay.
So if you have...
So like if I would click erase, it's going to erase everything that's connected that is that same color.
It's yellow, yeah. So you can make armatures to, you know how you're talking about not being able to build in the space in the middle?
Yeah. If
you build up structures as like support structures to make some sort of crazy like tower that's overhanging things, and you need, extra supports like scaffolding. If you're like making imaginary scaffolding to build this object, make sure it's a different color, because then you can just quickly erase it with that flood erase.
That's really cool. Okay, so the other thing, let's see, we have not looked at pivot. Now the pivot tool, this will come into play. I'm not really going to go into it right now. This will come into play for animating. So yes. This obviously is not any kind of shape that should be animated, but like if I want, the pivot is like the point that it animates from, the point that it turns, the point that it moves from. So if you have a leg, right, you want the one of the pivot points to be like, you'll make a shin, and then you'll want a pivot point to be at the knee, right?
Correct. Yeah. So for the upper leg, you would want your pivot point at the hip. For your lower leg, you'd want it at the knee. For your foot, you'd want it at the ankle.
At the ankle, so yeah.
Whatever the parent object is going to be for that.
Yeah, but we can definitely talk about that when it comes time to animate some stuff. Then before we get out of here, which we're past time, but that's okay. Oh, yeah. We're past time. How dare you? Let's talk about the other one. You can increase and decrease the volume resolution. Now I know here. Let's get rid of. I don't want the pivot point on anymore. I know that when you decrease it, it breaks. You lose stuff, and then bam, we just lost a bunch of resolution. Now, when you increase it, see, it doesn't go back. But if I were to increase it and then increase it, and then, well, here, let's decrease it. That's a little much. And then draw.
Yeah.
And let's see. There we go. So now,
Your details.
yeah. Let's increase it again. Look at all. It does more and more details. I'm going to increase it. Is that as much as I can go? I think it is. No.
I don't know. I can't see. It's too dark at the top of the screen for me to see
Yeah.
what your resolution is because of Discord.
256. That's as high as I can go.
Yeah, that's the max. So that, yeah, depending on your computer, that will cause it to choke a little bit on that size.
I have a good computer, and it's still kind of choking a little bit. So now let's decrease it.
Looks like you got a monkey pirate there.
It is a monkey pie. That's exactly what I was going for.
There we go.
So I can decrease it, and look at that.
Yeah. Just keeps abstracting.
So it can go to a 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2.
I think that's the lowest.
4 by 4.
Might go down to 1.
Look at the pivot point.
Yeah.
So now let's undo it a little bit. There we go. And it works pretty fast.
It's definitely a lot faster. The newest update has been really great, and we've gotten some good feedback about that because, before it's still an alpha, or I guess technically it says alpha down there, but I was set on the beta, so I don't know. Somebody's trying to confuse me, but this latest update, it just brought not only a whole bunch of new features, but the program is much better running than it was before, and I think people have been really happy with that.
Right. And that's really cool. So one of the things you also want to do is there's this little arrow right here that's pointing forward. This is always the front of everything. Right. This is always the front of everything. So when you model, make sure and like face everything to the front. Mm-hmm. And if you didn't, for whatever reason, you can use these arrow keys up here to rotate the object within the space.
Correct. Yep.
And you can rotate them horizontally, vertically, rotate it in the Z-axis.
Yeah, fortunately, we color-coded everything. Mm-hmm. That's actually one. I don't have a lot of complaints about Magic of Voxel, but one is that I'm not always sure which axis I'm on because there's no color label that's conveniently telling me that green is the Z-axis or whatever.
Well, there's the lines on the corners.
Oh, it's good in VoxEdit. I like it in VoxEdit.
Oh, okay.
In Magic of Voxel, I don't know which way I'm turning it.
So then you can also rotate it in these directions. Then you can also turn on mirroring, right? So I'm going to do that right now and then create. Here, let's do it in a different color. Let's do this. Wait, let's do, what color are we not using? How about this? So when I create on one side, it creates it on the other side. So that's good for doing all kinds of things,
Mm-hmm. Faces, bodies, any symmetrical object you got going on. And you can turn on multiple mirroring.
Here, let's do it over here.
Say you wanted to do
look at that.
Flower pot or something, you can do the whole.
You can mirror everything. Here, let's do it in this orange color. Let's just mirror this. Boop. Mirrored it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just drawing now like a madman. Look at that. It's a face. So then you can turn all of those planes off. This also tells you the volume, width, height, and depth. And then over here we have your different views, right? So we have, right now we are on hiding edges, but we can turn them on the voxel edges so we can see each individual voxel.
Yep.
We can,
for counting.
Yeah, we can turn on quad edges. And what is that helpful for?
Nothing in particular.
Okay. Quad edges.
Yeah, that kind of shows you how the ambient occlusion works, but as far as like practically for modeling purposes, it doesn't tell you actually any information that'll impact the mesh.
Right, and this has nice edges, which is the edge of everything basically, except for it does not show like edges of different colored things. It shows edges of the shape.
Yeah, just the physical edges.
So you can see it right here. how the line's right here. But you know what? I like that. Then this last button is reset camera to default position. Is there a shortcut for that?
There is not, as far as I know
No.
at this time. Yeah, I know. Somebody was asking me about that the other day, and I don't know of a shortcut, and I haven't found one for it.
I bet you there will be one, though. I bet you there will be one.
There's a nice long spreadsheet that keeps getting bigger of feature requests and bug reports. So
because believe it or not, where's my stuff? I lost it. I have no idea. Oh, there it is for a second. Oh, there, you can lose your stuff. You can lose your stuff. Look at that. I zoomed out so far that it is gone. Yeah. And you can accidentally do that. Bam. That's a great thing. Yeah. So let's talk about this last thing over here. The perspective and orthographic view.
Yep.
So perspective, or your orthographic view shows more naturally what it would look like naturally, and your perspective is just everything. Everything is visually the same width and distance from each other. But your orthographic view is kind of more of a natural. Yeah.
So perspective's actually what it would be naturally. With things getting smaller as they get further away from you.
Yeah.
Whereas orthographic view is all lines are always parallel. So that means that things like far away will look bigger because they'll be the same size as the things that are closer. But orthographic is good if you are trying to like do a flat side of something. If you're trying to, it's kind of hard to describe. Like as somebody who's like used it a lot, it's like it kind of just it makes sense in certain situations.
Yeah, perspective is like where things in the distance are smaller. Like if there's two barrels that are 10 feet tall and one of them is like 5 feet away from you and another one is 100 feet away from you, the other one looks smaller even though it's the same size. But so orthographic would be that they would both be the same size no matter the distance they are away from you.
Yeah. So perspective's what your stuff will look like in the game. Mm-hmm. It's like a real camera view, sort of. And orthographic is more for planning architecture, kind of getting even measurements. You know, if you wanted to, in orthographic mode, you could put a ruler to your screen and you could count out measurements and make them match up from one part to another. So orthographic is good for like planning and if you're being really like technical about things. And some people might just be more comfortable with one than the other because Cubicle only has an orthographic camera. And if somebody's coming, if a voxel artist is coming from Cubicle, that's what they'll be familiar with. Magica Voxel has both, but it defaults to perspective. Mm-hmm. So depending on what your experience with 3D art is, you may prefer one over the other. Me, I jump back and forth between the two all the time, just for whatever I need in that specific moment. So yeah.
And you know what? With this, we're running pretty good. We're running at 59.2 frames a second, which is pretty amazing.
50. Oh, 50. I heard 15. I was like, that's
no, 59, 59.6. So this other button over here, what is it called? I'm not sure what is called exactly, but it gives you your different views. So like if I want to
view panes,
the view pane. So this is like show, hide the floor. Oh, I see. This shows it in that. So if I want to look at the, okay, right here. It has the right, left, front. So if I want to look at the front, then I can turn it around. That way I'm just looking at a 2D, like pixel art render of the front, basically.
Right. Yeah, this is really good for texturing and coloring. So if you're trying to make, if you're trying to draw like the surface of a wall or something, you can just put it flat like that. It might be a little bit confusing if you're trying to model in that because you can draw through the different layers of depth in the 2D mode. Mm-hmm. But when you hover your cursor on the 2D view, it shows where you're going to be clicking in the 3D view also. So that's helpful. So you can kind of plan where it's going to go. Sometimes people you can also do this as a 4-screen split. So you could do 3 different sides of 2D and 1 of 3D. And some people like working that way because they can really see what's going on all sides of their object at once.
Right. Like, look, it's you would think that I'm drawing on the, like, I'm just going to call these eyes, in the eyes, but I am not. I'm really actually drawing behind it.
Yeah.
You can see it just drew right there behind it.
Yeah.
So there's...
So in 2D, you can't really tell that, but in 3D, it's very clear.
Right. Then there's also this right here, which is the 4 panels.
Mm-hmm. So people might notice that the arrow does not point towards 4s right now, and there's a it was just kind of like a typo on the front camera. So when you say front, it's not actually showing the front. I think it's rotated 90 degrees.
Ah, okay.
Or it might be, I think it's 180 degrees. It's just spun around.
All right, but like I said, it says down at the bottom, it says alpha, right? It's beta alpha. Okay, so let's go back to the regular thing. Now let's look at the over here's the materials, which is basically right now it's just different colors, materials and palettes, and you can pop those out, right? You can put them on another screen. You can pop them back in. Right here is the bottom left under my face. You can't really see it. Is a button for taking the screenshot that it should save it.
Yep, that goes to your user folder. There's a folder called VoxEdit that the program makes. So you go to whatever your hard drive is /users/ indie or whatever, and then VoxEdit, and it will have all the screenshots that you've saved. And then there's also a config.ini, which that saves the panel positions, whether they're attached to the program or whether you've positioned them someplace on your screen. We've had some users encounter, either a glitch where they can't find a panel that they moved, and sometimes that's because they had a second monitor attached, and then they unplug that monitor, so like the position is saved off on this other monitor that's no longer part of the computer.
Right.
So if you're encountering issues with not being able to find panels, or even sometimes just random crashing, you can always delete that config.ini. It's perfectly safe. All that happens is it resets the panel positions. You don't lose any other information that way. It's just where you moved things to on the program, and sometimes that helps people. So
that's always a good tip. Tip. I bumped it up to 256, and it draws really quick. But then it has to kind of pause for a second and render it.
Yeah.
Even though it's already drawn in. Yeah. So like I dropped my frames down to 20, which is not terrible. I mean, for a 256 by 256.
It is a very big volume to be working in. And it's actually bigger than what the Gamemaker can use right now. So if you remember earlier, I mentioned how those buildings were all 4 by 4 by 4 meter chunks.
Yeah.
Well, in our scale, 128 voxels is 4 meters. So you're making an 8 by 8 by 8 meter block right now, which is bigger than what the Gamemaker will support at this time. So we don't even use this size.
So what's the standard size people use? 128?
Yeah, well, that's the biggest size block. So you can make objects in whatever size you want.
Okay.
But when we put it into the Gamemaker, we make sure that they're chunked up into 128 maximum size. So whether it's a building, or if you have like a street light that's, I don't know, 5 meters tall, then we would do the bottom part of the street light as one 4 meter tall object, and then do the last meter at the top as a separate object.
That's cool. Well, I think we have. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about VoxEdit before we get out of here?
Well, actually, it kind of relates to the last thing I said. It's,
okay.
A lot of this stuff you can learn if you go back to the home screen, and you go to the news tab.
Okay.
The top one, guidelines for artists. That's a very useful document that explains. A lot of it's reference for our artists in the Creator Fund working, but it's helpful for anybody who's interested in creating stuff for the Gamemaker. This kind of goes through some of the design process and things like collision boxes. So like what I described for the street light, if you were to make a street light with the light overhanging, and you made it all one object, well, the collision box is going to be the box that fits that whole thing. So somebody trying to walk under the street light would like run into the collision box. So you want to separate off that top so you can have a nice narrow collision box at the bottom, so that way people can walk all around your street light without getting stuck under the lamp.
Oh, that's good. No, that totally makes sense.
See it right there at the bottom, that street light. If you keep scrolling, right there. So the way that street light overhangs, somebody would stop as soon as they hit the green. So you want to divide that into an upper section and a lower section so people can walk underneath it. So it's a very useful document. I recommend anybody who's interested in getting into the Gamemaker.
That makes sense, because like if you have a big tree that has branches, you can't. It will be, the bounding box will be as big as the biggest thing. So you want to have a bunch of separate objects that stick out.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that was the last thing.
All right.
And go subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I'll be doing a video showing off the Gamemaker today. So
here we go. Yeah, subscribe to the channel. Here, I'll post it one more time.
Yeah.
And also follow him on Twitter, and of course the Sandbox.
Yep, definitely follow them. Lots of cool stuff coming.
And if you want to check me out, twitch.tv/indie. Whoops, I did that wrong. Let me do it again. Twitch.tv/indie and twitter.com/therealindie. What is your Discord?
My Discord, well,
your Discord name.
My name. It's at Kamisazi. Is that how people still find me though? Because I changed it to Alex. So let me. There, I just shared it to your thing. So I guess it's at Alex Kabisazi 4977 or whatever. Just go onto the Sandbox Discord and you'll see me posting in every channel all day long.
Every channel. And then mine is this one right here. Mine is Indie0001. Message me, because I'll be doing some more interviews on we'll have some people on here. Whoops, that's the wrong button. We'll have some creators on here, and I'll be doing some interviews. If you have anything that you want me to show off in these videos, if you have some valuable information, I'm totally down. So please drop me a message on Discord. And let's see, is there anything else? I'll be back next Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, which is 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm pretty excited. So thanks so much, Alex, for being on here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm going to play this little video, and then don't go away, though.
All right.
Make sure and like this video and subscribe to this channel. We'll be back every Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific. Thank you so much. It was great to meet all you guys. I'm stoked. I'm excited for you guys to help me create some cool stuff. Have a good one.